Okay, today's lesson is going to be on dimensioning. So as you can see here, I've got a ground floor opened up, and this one is fully dimensioned. That's not actually strictly true, because if you have a look, we don't actually have the thickness of the walls here, but you could add a note up the top here that says exterior walls are double brick, and put a dimension on that up there as a side note. You could also say that all internal walls are 70mm timber in that note as well. However, today I'm going to show you how to actually dimension the walls as well. So here's a sample of what we got. Over the side here, this is not what you write. I've just written this so that you can see. This gives us two options to draw all of this. You've got doors, wall thicknesses, and windows. So you dimension the doors, the windows, and the wall thicknesses on that first row. Then you'd have the room sizes. You can see that we've got some room sizes there. And then we'd have an overall. Now you can see that this one here has actually got the room size there. I would have preferred to have put that up higher on that next level, just to keep it all in line. If we have a look at, I've got an option here of doing wall thicknesses on the first row. So there's the first row there. Why would I do that? I'd do that because we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 walls. And I think those wall thicknesses should be on that first level there, just to separate them from everything else. You can see that if I zoom in on that, you can see that we've got this little thing happening here, which is fine. There's no 70mm in between it. But if you tried to put 70mm in there, it'd just be a mess. So put your walls on the first level. Now, why have I got these two options? Wall thickness, when it's so busy, is a good idea just to put it on its own. If you've got something like this side here, you could put a wall thickness there and a wall thickness there, and then put your window edges over here as well, window dimensions as well. So in that case, for this side here, you could do that one. For this one over here, which is pretty busy, you would do this one here. So I'm going to show you how to do this one up here with wall thicknesses, doors and windows, room sizes, and overall. Okay. Alright, so I've just deleted all of my dimensions up there, and we're going to put this one in here using this bottom method here because it's so busy. So I'm going to go up to annotate, and annotate's got aligned, and as soon as I clicked on that, you can see that I've got wall center lines and individual reference on this ribbon here. We don't want to measure to the middle of the walls, we're going to go to the wall faces. That means that it'll measure from the outside to the outside, rather than from the inside of there. You can change that later, but at the end of the day, it's easier to do it here. I'm going to use individual reference. You have an option to use entire walls. I'd advise not to do that yet. I'll show you how to use that soon. So we're going to use this method here. I'm just going to do a row. The first row is going to be wall thickness. So I'm going to zoom in, and you can see that I want to pick up that line and that line. I'm just going to drag that out. Now, a lot of people put it there. I want you to go up twice the size. You should have a substantial gap in between those, the drawing and those dimensions. Alright, so I'm going to go to the next one, and you can see that I'm going to have to zoom in to pick up that outside wall. Missed it. There it is there and there. It's 70mm, and I'm going to drag that up and put it there. Next wall would be this one. Just zoom in, pick up that one, and you can see that that lines up beautifully. Okay, so I just rushed ahead there and finished these other dimensionings. It was just click, click, and off we go. So I'm still in wall faces individual reference. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to do the doors and the windows. So here's the window. Here's the first window up here. Actually, I might come across to this one. I'm going to come across to this one, and I think it's important that you position where the window is. So it needs to have that dimension there. Now, I'm just going to zoom out a little bit. There it is there. Just move it up the second row, and I'm going to come and dimension that next window there like that. Just missed it. Just hit escape. That one. there we go. Took a while to do that one, but it comes up there like that. Okay, here's some issues. You can see that I've got a little bit of a mistake there from when I did that. Now this is individual referencing, and I just clicked that one, dragged it up, click the next one, drag it up. I'm just going to show you some way that you can do that a little bit easier and a little bit faster than that. So here's aligned. I'm going to click on that one, I'm going to click on that one, and I'm going to click on that one, and I'm going to click on that one, and while I'm at it, I'm going to do that window, and I'm going to do this one. So individual referencing means that you get the option to click on what you want, and you can see that that's relatively fast. So what I've got is my windows, my openings, and the space or position, so the builder now knows how far to put in that window. So that's through individual referencing. Alright, so just give me a minute and I'll just finish the rest of this off, and I'll be right back. Okay, so we're back, and here we go. I've finished that second row. I've got spacings and I've got my windows. Alright, here's my room sizes now. So what I'm actually doing is I'm going from the smallest items up and working up to the overall. So what I'm going to do now is put the room sizes in. It's the same thing. You can click on that, drag him up, and there he goes. And I can come and do that for the rest of these as well. And this one as well. Now they're inside measurements because I want to know what the room size is itself, and of course I'd have to do this one here, and again there it goes, and there like that. Alright, the last dimension I've got is the overall length, so that has to be from the outside, and it has to be from the outside, and there you go. So if you have a look, there's an overall dimension for that half of the house up that side. It's got an overall dimension up the top, but when you come to do the other side, you'd not put that overall dimension in because you've already got it. When you come and use this side, even though you've got 70mm walls here, you need to mark the 70mm walls on this side. The only time that you wouldn't do that is if you had a wall that went all the way across and you've dimensioned this one up here. You wouldn't do it down the bottom. Alright, so that's how you use individual reference. So I'm going to quickly show you how to use the other option here, which is entire wall. Now when you go entire wall, options comes up, and it allows you to do just openings or intersecting walls or intersecting grids. So let's have a look at openings to start with. Obviously you don't want center, you want width, and you go OK. So let's have a look to see what happens with this one. If I click on that entire wall, it does it for you. Just move it away, and there it is. So you can see that I've got these dimensions. The problem with that is that you can see that this is a bit of a mess down here, and that's the advantage of individually selecting it. It's not much faster to do this entire wall. You'd be much better, I think, probably using the individual method. So in that case, you can see that that worked out pretty well. And I'd probably do each of these individual walls out here just using the individual command. Alright, so let's go back to options, and I'm going to put intersecting walls there and go close the opening. So the openings are your windows and doors. Intersecting walls, I'm just going to click like that, click on here, and it drags out and it does your room sizes for you. Notice how it also does the thickness of the walls as well. And in this case here, that's quite okay to do because I've got the room sizes and that actually fits in nicely, so you could actually get away with that. So I guess if I had to say, this is kind of like a guideline of how to make things look pretty good. The last dimension on there is not the overall dimension because you've already got it up there. Alright, so that's how you use the dimensioning commands. One last thing, if I go entire wall options and tick that one and entire walls, it just turns out really ugly. You can see, I just drag that up there, that it wants to pick up everything. It all overlaps, and that's not what you need to do. So it's rather difficult using that entire wall command. I think you're much better off using individual reference. Alright, so that's how you dimension. Obviously, there are variations that you can have in this, like for instance that 270mm, but if you stick to this rule down here where you've got the wall thicknesses, the doors and windows, room sizes and overall, or a less busy room like this, that section there, that'll be fine. These dimensions here relate specifically to that half. These dimensions relate to this half. The dimensions on this side relate to this half, and the dimensions on this side relate to this half. Notice how all the dimensions are on top or on the left-hand side. On Australian standards, that's what's expected. Okay, have fun with that. That's how you do dimensioning for your ground floor and any other dimensioning for that matter, including site plan. Yep, have some fun with that. All right.